Welcome to another episode of Straight from the Source, and we have a special guest here today, Chad Bushnell, who is a Nashville recording artist, but actually from Red Bluff originally, right? Born and raised?
Yeah.
So you got to tell me about this. Just growing up in Red Bluff, did you ever think that one day you'd, have done some of the things that you've done and played with the musicians you've played with?
It's pretty crazy, being a kid, I was such a 90s country fan. I don't know how well you know 90s country, but like Mark Wills, Neil McCoy, all those, Clint Black, all those guys.
I think of Reba.
I haven't got to meet Reba, but I've got to open for so many of my country heroes, and that's been probably the coolest part. Like when I was little, I didn't think I'd ever get to do that. And
yeah.
So it's been pretty neat.
How did it start for you?
Man, I started doing talent shows. There was a place called the Bear Flag in Red Bluff.
Okay.
It used to be open. They had an open mic night, and I was like 11 or 12, and my music teachers and different artists would always be there, so that's where I really started performing. Yeah. Of course, national anthem, and then I think I entered my first talent show when I was 15, and kind of went on from there.
So you got to tell me about your family, because like for me, for example, I love music. Like it's in my heart and it's in my soul. Mm-hmm. I was not blessed with more than like a 1 octave range singing voice. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't stop me from singing in the car and in the shower and in karaoke. Yeah. But I never really took it farther than, just having fun with my family. But for you, obviously, you are blessed with certain musical abilities. Was that something that your parents saw and they kind of like encouraged you, or did you have to fight for it yourself?
So my dad, he played in a lot of bands, and he's a musician too.
Yeah. And
played and sang. So I think they always knew since I was little. I just took so much interest in it.
Yeah.
We grew up doing rodeo, and I think they were kind of like, it was kind of in between, because they took us to junior rodeos, and of course I liked it, but I just always knew music was going to be my thing ever since I was 4,
So was it something like, like you said, rodeos, national anthems, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Was it something that at a young age you figured, this is how I'm going to make my livelihood, and did you start making money from it early?
I played for years. I played so many free shows. I did national anthems at rodeos and sporting events. I did talent shows, open mic. I didn't really start getting probably paid for it till I was more like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And then I landed my first opening act at the Tama County Fair for James Otto. Mesa Productions booked me, and then I went on to do, I think after Mesa Productions booked me, there are Diamond Productions here in Chico booked me. I got to open for Mark Chestnut, a bunch of big acts, Chris Cagle, and so that's kind of how it started, basically.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. How old were you the first time that you went on a tour?
Man, I was in college. I think we were at Chico State. And I think it was my last year at Chico. We did we went to Reno, Wendover, and back. That was my first big tour. We played the Peppermill. We played the Idaho Fair. Yeah, so I was probably 20, 21.
Okay. Yeah. So you went to Chico State. What did you study?
Business.
All right.
Yeah.
So what was your thinking there? Because you're already so successful at a young age and talented. Was there ever that kind of debate in your mind, maybe I just moved to Nashville and put college on pause for now?
Yeah, I always listened. I know, especially, both my parents pushed me to do college, but my dad, he was always really adamant about me getting my college degree.
Yeah.
At least a bachelor's. And he's like, get your bachelor's degree and do whatever you want. I have a lot of younger people ask me about that, and I always encourage them. Nashville's great. Some people luck out and get signed when they're 19. Doesn't really happen that often, but I'd always encourage people to get some kind of degree, especially if you're in the music business, get a business degree. Because the music, the talent only takes you so far. You have to treat it like a business, and that's what I learned from business school at Chico State.
I'm sure that people along the road who didn't really have that much knowledge of business and maybe got taken advantage of, or just kind of mismanaged their own brand.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to say. I have had a lot of friends the last 10, 12 years that, and I don't know, a lot of people get into it, and it's just like a job. I think they think they kind of get in there, they're going to be like rock stars, but the reality, especially when you're independent, it's just like a job, like anything.
Right.
And you have to every day you have to be working at it, and so yeah, it was really important to me to get a bachelor degree in whatever, but I ended up going the business route.
So taking the perspective of it being, it's your passion, but it's also a job. You never had the Motley Crue era where it was just about the music and the fun.
Yeah, I always, we were talking about I shoe horses a little bit too, and my dad, taught me to shoe horses. And by the time I went to Chico State, I could shoe enough to, kind of as a part-time thing.
Yeah.
And, because I basically kind of always had to work. I had to shoe horses part-time, play shows. I've always been in and out of Nashville, and Nashville's changed so much since the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
You don't really, you got to be there, but, I don't know that living there permanently is the, I'm kind of on the fence with that.
Okay.
Because you can do everything remotely. You got to be there to network, you got to be there to write, and there's no one way of doing it, That's what's hard.
Yeah.
I think nowadays if you get something going there, if you you're writing songs, you're working, and something hits and you get a publishing deal, that's when you make the move. But
okay.
yeah.
So I've been to Nashville a few times. Enough times that I have the buy one get two free cowboy boots to prove it that they sell there. That every tourist falls prey to. But, I don't really know that much about what life would be like if you actually lived there. Like, what is it about living there versus, say, living in Red Bluff that makes you think, I'm just going to stick with home for now?
Yeah, it's just everything you can do remote, and you don't really need to, live there permanently, I don't think, unless you have something really going. I mean, I hate to say, but the music business is very driven by money and politics.
Yeah.
And, living there in Nashville, you do get better. You're writing more, so there's that part of it. But it's kind of oversaturated too. Like, I actually get to do more out here than I would do in Nashville. Yeah. Because it's just, people get in there by the bus loads every week or two, and they leave by the bus loads.
Right.
And not to sound discouraging, but being here, I go to Nashville, do what I got to do, and then I come back here and I tour.
Yeah.
And I get to play bigger shows. I mean, I get to open for, this year I'm opening for Corey Kent at the Red Bluff Roundup.
Nice.
I'm opening for Shenandoah, and it's like, I wouldn't get to do that in Nashville, so that's the,
How is going on tour, and how does that work with having a family life? Are you married, right? So how does that work, in terms of your relationship and just keeping that connection?
It's good, I think it's kind of like a happy medium, because I've never gone that long.
Yeah.
And so we always kind of joke about that. I think I'm home for 2 or 3 days, and my wife's like, when are you headed out again?
Right.
There's kind of that. Of course, she misses me, and, we miss each
Yeah.
other, but I think I'm usually gone most of the time for 2 or 3 days at a time, and then during the summer I'll do week or 10-day tours. It's a lot of just in and out, in and out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. There is something to that. It's so funny. I love my husband so much. He's my best friend. I love when we're just at home alone together. It's the best. But whenever it's hunting season or he's got something going on, it's always kind of like I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you miss them when they're gone, but it's nice to have a little bit of that space and autonomy in every relationship.
It is, and I'm very blessed after doing this for 10, 12 years, and I have a lot of I can play a lot of great shows in the 2 to 4 hour radius of here, and that takes a while to build that, and social media and just playing a lot. So that's been a real blessing. I really normally just go on 2 or 3 days at a time.
Yeah,
it's not too bad.
So music, gosh, I always think about music as this one thing that is so, I can't think of a downside to it, right? Like chocolate's delicious, but you eat too much, it's not good for you. Get type 2 diabetes or something from too much sugar. Yeah. Spending money makes you feel good, you buy cool things, but bad for the bank account. Yeah. Music is just this gift. It just lights up your soul, it just makes you feel good, and I can't think of a single thing that it does that isn't positive. Yeah. So anyways, that's my association. What does it mean for you, in your heart and soul?
Man, it's my passion, and it's became my job, and but I also am a big fan of it too. And so sometimes what I've learned, especially doing it the last few 10, 12 years I've done it, not playing too many shows, and that's where you have to be careful, because people, I hear it every week. They come up and they're like, "Oh, you're still shoeing horses, you're still selling jerky, you're still," but people have no idea how hard it is to play 200 or 300 shows a year. Yeah. And there's people that do it, and kudos for them. But for me, I'm at about 80 to 100 shows a year is what I can handle, especially being independent and having to do most of it myself. And it's kind of nice to kind of have breaks, and because you stay inspired, you don't get burnt out. Right. And it's not so bad to go out and shoe horses for 2 or 3 days, or go sell jerky, or have my own beer actually that just came out. Yeah. Kind of doing other things, and there's some other artists that I've talked to lately that kind of feel the same.
It's funny. I saw Bob Dylan not so long ago, and I've been my whole life, because my dad loved Bob Dylan, and so it was so exciting for me to go see him. And then he played for more than an hour. And he played A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall was the only song he played that pretty much anyone knew. Mm-hmm. And at first I think everyone was a little bit frustrated, right? It's you pay all this money to see Bob Dylan, you want to hear Blowing in the Wind, right? Yeah. But thinking about this man for decades playing the same songs over and over all across the world, I mean, you got to, at a certain point, have a breaking point where you're like, I can't play my hit song one more time or I'm going to freak out.
That happens to so many of those guys, yeah. For me, I just, we kind of rotate, we do different sets. We also do the Garth Brooks tribute thing in between too. And I was always against doing tribute stuff for a while. I was like, no, I just want to do my own thing. But finally in, 2020, when everything happened, I was sitting around, I'm like, maybe I'll give it a try. And it's actually helped me.
Yeah.
The tribute thing gets us more shows, keeps us more busy, kind of gives us a break. It keeps the band kind of happy because they don't always have to play the same Chad songs.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we actually get to play Garth this weekend. And so that's been, I think it's helped. And a lot of people are doing that. I have some friends actually in Nashville. One of them, he's written 2 or 3 hit songs, and he does a Leonard Skinner tribute.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, okay, when you're doing a tribute, obviously you're kind of trying to play the song and perform and the way that you voice it, the way that the original artist and band did it, right?
Yeah.
But do you ever do any covers that you're like, you love this song, but you want to kind of put your own spin on it?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm doing 2, so I'm going to Nashville next week, and I'm recording 2 covers of some of my favorite songs.
Which ones?
And I'm doing Some Girls Do by Sawyer Brown, big hit in the 90s. And I have my own way I do it, and then I'm doing Danny's song by Loggins and Messina.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, I started doing it, and it kind of evolved. I actually hadn't heard the original in like 10 years. And since I'm recording it next week, I'm saying, I'm just going to listen to it once just to make sure. And it was like completely different than the way I'm doing it. And I'm like, well, I want to keep that. I don't want to do it like them. I want to do it. And so that's something I'm working on next week, actually.
So what are you working on right now? You have your guitar with you.
Yeah.
Is there anything that is like you can give us a little sneak peek on about that like you're working on that's not quite done yet?
Yeah, actually, I got a new one that's kind of going with the music and like playing too much and like kind of having the happy medium.
Yeah.
I wrote a song on Easter last year called Weekend Home. And so that's about probably how a lot of artists feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could play a little clip of it if you want. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I won't play the whole thing, but like singing on Saturdays, doing the kind of things folks do on a Sunday. That's what I like to do. Roasting hot dogs on an open fire, sitting on the back porch staring at the pale moonlight in my cowboy boots. Watching kids jump on a trampoline don't take much to satisfy me. 'Cause Monday through Friday you work hard every day, home that 9 to 5, can't wait till Saturday when you're done. There's nothing like a weekend home. Load up the family, go get some groceries, come home and lay around, maybe watch a movie. There's nothing like a weekend, no. There's nothing like a weekend home. Anyway, there's a little clip of it.
So, okay, so and this makes me think so much about just what music is and what makes it so special, right? It's just the simple, like, what's on your heart and mind, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sure it's funny how some of us, we have those same thoughts, like listening to those lyrics.
Yeah.
It's, it's peace, it's family, but for a lot of us, it's hard to express.
Yeah, and it's kind of a funny story. I was in Nashville and I got to kind of meet and talk to Shane Miner, I like to bring him up because he's a hit songwriter. He's originally from California. And, he had a deal back in the 90s and went on to wrote a bunch of hit songs. And I kind of talked to him and I'm like, I was like, man, like, you don't perform much anymore. Like so he kind of talked to me about it, and that's kind of when it really dawned on me. I wrote that song a few weeks after I talked to Shane. Kind of, it was a good perspective of like, how important the family life is and being home and not just making it all about music all the time. And so that's when I wrote that song after I met Shane. So
I love that. That I think something that a lot of people are curious about when we listen to songs written by our favorite artists, and like me, I like to analyze the lyrics and like, what does that mean, and where's it coming from? Do you feel like, for the most part for you, that the lyrics in your originals are truly inspired by your own thoughts in your own life, or do you ever feel the pressure to just like, we need a party song on this album, or
Yeah, that's a tough one. So my last EP, I kind of just said, heck with all what Nashville was saying. I just did my own EP the way I wanted to. But I think it's kind of it's kind of tough because you want to do what's in the industry and because that's what's going to get played.
Right.
But at the same time, you want it to be you, because when you show up and perform, it has to be believable. It can't be, you can't sing, you can't be something you're not. But with that said, this next week I'm doing a mix of that next week, because I'm doing 2 or 3 songs that are completely like industry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing a Christmas song that isn't something that I'd probably completely sing about, but the writers I was writing with, we had to write it like commercial. We're gonna try to pitch it to a Netflix film for this Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
So I had to, instead of writing something I wanted to about Christmas, we wrote about what the industry wants.
Yeah.
And then I'm also doing 2 songs that other people wrote that are completely out of my wheelhouse, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And,
Okay.
Yeah,
So what does the industry want right now when it comes to country music?
Man, it's kind of so all over the place, but mainly the sound too, like the poppy. I'm more traditional.
Yeah.
Like when I go to write something, it's definitely more on the traditional or contemporary 90s side.
Okay.
But the 2 songs that I'm going to record by other people are completely like pop country.
Yeah.
And kind of right in the wheelhouse of what's going on right now in country. So I guess that makes sense.
It's funny, the evolution of country. Like, I think back to, like, when I think old country, I'm thinking like Merle Haggard or George Jones, or Waylon Jennings, and then we have today's country, which I would describe as being more like poppy.
Yeah.
But it's funny because that era and now, God, time is flying by, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about this the 90s country. What sets that era apart in your mind?
I don't know, maybe it's just because that's when I was little and it really, but I mean, they
Just
do
your
call
childhood.
it prime country because it was some of the best, the Garth Brooks, Clint Black, some of the best music, and the way it was produced. And that's how I naturally write and sing.
Right.
And that's why I do the Garth tribute. But like the stuff now, it is like Jelly Roll, Morgan Wallen, it's completely different than that. So trying to stay up current with the market. There's a guy here, I'm actually, I won't mention his name, but I'm recording a song. It's called Small Town Ghost. And it's straight up something like Brantley Gilbert or Jason Aldean would record. And at first I'm kind of like, okay, I like the song, but it's not really me. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, if you want to get on the radio, you got to kind of.
Right.
So.
And fans, I think that fans appreciate an evolution.
Yeah,
I mean, the Beatles their first album was very different than some of the last things that you heard from them.
Yeah.
I think, in my humble opinion, having no experience at all with the music industry, but being just a listener, I think that people can tell when an artist is at least staying true to themselves and the message and the personality. If the style and delivery changes a little bit, it's just like, well, we all change, right?
Well, and I'm thinking too. I'm doing 7 songs total next week. I'm going to be doing a lot. But I'm also doing 2 or 3 that are songs that I wrote and co-wrote.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I think every artist, I think it's good to try stuff too.
Yeah.
See what sticks. Merle Haggard was kind of one that could get away with just doing all his own. But he changed a little bit in the 80s than what he did in the 60s, 70s, and it did good. Like Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Star, that was a huge song for him. That's so much different than Swinging Doors.
Right.
So
Right.
You just never know what's going to stick. And I like this song enough to where I kind of believed in it, and I'm going to give it a shot. And so.
Have you ever written a song with someone that you ended up performing the song with? Who? And if not, who would be your dream person to do a duet with?
Man, probably like Dwight Yoakam or Vince Gill, because they're my 2 favorites. Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I haven't really. Can't think if I've really done that yet. I've gotten to write with so many cool people back, and actually I did get to write do that once with Dave Gibson.
Okay.
So Dave was in the Gibson Miller Band in the 90s, and they had a couple hit songs. And then they disbanded, and Dave went on to be a huge songwriter. Wrote hits for Tanya Tucker and Faith Hill. And so I got to write a song with him, and we did perform it in Nashville. So I guess that was the one time that I got to do that.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
It was cool.
There's so many artists out there that they're kind of known for. In fact, it really seems like these days, most artists, there's kind of an expectation that you write your own songs, right? Back in, I remember I grew up in a similar era as you. Maybe I'm a little older, but NSYNC, Britney Spears, they were all like, you just knew that they just performed, right?
yeah.
It was just a given that someone else was writing for them. Now today it's like the Taylor Swift era of like, you got to know how to perform. Like even if it's just basic pop music, everybody does their own work. But do you think that people would be surprised how many writers actually do kind of chime in, even for artists who do their own songs?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a mix. I mean, I know like George Strait, I mean, I think mostly songwriters write for him. But I'm doing a show next week in Nashville. It's one of the coolest shows I get to do every year. And we do a writers round, and some upcoming artists, we all open for the hit songwriters. And so Anthony Smith is going to be getting up there, and he wrote Run for George Strait, like some of George's huge hits, and he talks about them. Yeah, I think a lot of those bigger artists, they don't write their own songs. I know Garth wrote a few.
Yeah.
Alan Jackson, I think, wrote more.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell, but it just all depends,
Right.
you know.
And I mean, like writing the lyrics themselves, I mean, that's just a piece of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, creating that melody and making it something that you want to hear over and over again.
Yeah.
And then also delivering it on stage in a way where you're connecting with the crowd and the audience. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different things, and a lot of those guys, you know, I think they try to, some people don't want to get up there and perform, they just want to write.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, and then there's some that are more performers that can't write, and there's
Yeah.
such a mix. You
Right,
know?
you have to have it all.
Well, I like to do both, but like for me, there's a lot of people, and I've talked to different artists that like they're not open to writing with other people. Whereas me, you know, any chance I get, especially in Nashville, I'm always trying to write with, especially people that are better.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm always have an open mind. Like if I get a chance to write with Corey Barker and Mark Bernowski, they're two of my favorites. I write with them anytime I can.
Yeah.
Because they obviously they have some success. You know, I try to write with Dave, any of those guys, 'cause that's how I get better. And then, you know, there's a thing for having your name on the song that you sing too.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, of
it's kind
course.
yeah. I mean, there's a little more passion there.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you get stage fright, or when you were younger, did you?
A little bit, yeah. The toughest one is always the national anthem. That's where, because you're
Yeah.
singing in front of 1,000, 2,000 people, just you and a microphone, and everyone's staring at you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
When I can hide behind my guitar and there's a band, it's so much easier, and I don't
Right.
get stage fright. Yeah, the
Yeah.
national anthem and stuff like that's yeah.
So we're talking about writing and just, you know, being creative and working with others. What do you think about AI? And like, are people working with AI that you know of intentionally?
Oh, yeah. Most all the songs that I've had pitched to me are all AI demos.
Really?
I think for demos it's cool. I mean, I hate because I have so many musician friends in Nashville that make a living doing demos, and so it puts them out of work. So I don't like that part.
Yeah.
I think it's handy though. I mean, if you have an idea and you can do it on your phone. It's
Right.
A couple trips ago to Nashville, I got to write with CJ Solar, kind of a buddy of mine, and giving him a shout out because you know he's an artist too.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I ever had been around AI. We wrote a song, and he literally just did it on his phone, and 3 minutes we were done and
Yeah.
went to lunch. And it was just like,
So crazy.
Yeah.
I just feel like I think AI is a really cool tool, and
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I use it all the time. Like it helps you plan trips or like figure out what do I do with these ingredients in my fridge, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to like creativity and emotion, it breaks my heart a little bit.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it does take it out of there. Like I said, I like it. And the other thing I've ran into as well is I've had to like explain to each artist that I either, you know, sang their song or co-wrote with, like, you know, I'm not going to be able to sing it like the AI guy because they have perfect pitch. So like, don't lose your, you know, because
Right.
some of those AI demos sound like
Right.
radio. I mean, it's amazing. And
Okay, no, there's no way that the American people are going to accept artists who
Yeah.
are AI, because I
Yeah.
swear, you need emotion. That's why people care,
Yeah.
right? They want to hear a song and think, wow, this person out there, they had their heart broken too, just
Yeah.
like me. Or they're so excited about the future, just like me.
Yeah.
And if we know that it's AI, I don't believe that people can emotionally connect. I hope that I'm right.
Yeah. No, and that's actually my main reason to go to Nashville next week is, you know, they sent me a song that they did an AI demo on. It was a Christmas song. And of course, that guy just sang it, or the AI sang it perfect.
Yeah.
And so then I sent the demo, and I'm like, and so I'm hiring a vocal coach next week to kind
Okay,
of work with. And,
yeah.
and so like every one of the big artists hire vocal coaches.
Right.
I think unless maybe you're Kelly Clarkson or, you know, maybe
Sure.
not. But
I'm
most
sure
people
she
do.
had some along, I'm sure. Yeah.
You kind of have to, and that's
Yeah.
my main reason for going to Nashville next week. And that's something I never knew on my first two albums. you know, that I would tell any artist that's recording, it's extra money, but hire a vocal producer. You know, I think it's smart.
Yeah.
You know, because some people don't. I mean, it's all preference, but it really helps you like sing things right and phrase things in a way that you wouldn't do it on your own.
Yeah.
Because you can't, when you're singing yourself, sometimes you don't hear stuff that someone like that would hear.
Right.
And honestly, that's been the difference for me on some of my #1 Christian songs. That's been the complete difference of having a #1 or a not in the top 20. You know?
Is just having had that coaching and before you record it, essentially.
And it's more money. I mean, it can be all different, you know, ranges of that. But I feel like with Thank God, when that was #1 on 2 different charts, that was, you know, I had Dave Gibson produce my vocals on that. I mean, I learned things. I'm just like, wow, I had no idea that I wouldn't have thought to do that, you know. And so I think it's worth the extra 500 or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So your songs, it's not all, would you describe yourself as just Christian country, or you kind of have some that are faith-based and some that are more just like, I mean, all country music to a certain extent has kind of an underlying theme of God, it seems like, or a lot of it.
Mine's more mainstream, actually. I do, usually my goal is to release 1 Christian country song a year.
Okay.
And then the rest are more mainstream. In this batch of songs, I actually don't have a full-on Christian country one, but I'm thinking about re-releasing another one that I had that we didn't push on the radio. It's called Jesus Came from a Small Town, and I wrote that with Bill DeLuigi back in Nashville, and I was always like, man, you know, that's a good song. It was an album song. I never did push it as a single.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about maybe redoing it a little bit and pushing it out this summer as a Christian single.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Talking about, you know, writing from your own experience and your past, do you have any songs that, like, with your current wife, where she's like, I know that one was about the ex-girlfriend, do we have to hear this one over and over again?
Yeah, there's a few of those, and there's some that are about our relationship too.
Oh.
And she's like, she listened to it the first, she's like, wait a minute, you know. Like, and I'm like, well, that's right, you know, right about what's happening in my life.
Right.
And when I wrote with Dave Gibson and Brian White, 2 hit songwriters, we got in the writing room, that's the first thing they said, well, what do you want to write about? And I'm like, I'm like, you guys are hit songwriters, and they're like, no, we want you to come up with the idea of what's going on in your life. And so I'm thinking, well, you know, married and playing music, so that's what we write about.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
I mean, she had to have known that, right? What she was getting into. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's inspired some of my better songs, I feel, and you know, it's the fact that I got to write with Brian White was pretty awesome, and you know, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, I know that. I know a lot of girls who when I used to live in West Hollywood, and I was kind of in the music scene there, and I knew a lot of girls who were very proud of the fact they had songs written about them, and some that were horrified about the fact that they had songs written about them.
Well,
so you never know.
One of my most known songs called "She Don't Even Like Country."
Yeah.
And I wrote it about this girl I met when I was trying out for The Voice. And I don't know, like it's probably, you know, I've sang the song at so many places that I tell the story. I have no idea who the girl is. She was in line with me. And obviously we were in line for hours, so I'm talking to her. And finally, like right before we went to audition, she's like, you know, just to be honest, I don't really like country music. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, hey, well, this isn't going to go anywhere. So on the plane ride home, I'm like, hey, She Don't Even Like Country.
Right.
And that's been my most known song.
Yeah. Yep. I know that one. Wow.
So,
yeah.
And I'm like, I really like to find her name and like.
She's
just tag
out there.
her.
So I bet she knows who she is. She's got to.
I have a picture of her, but I never get her name. So I'm like,
how funny.
It's kind of funny.
Somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing, you were talking about, you shoe horses still, right? And that's kind of like what you do on the side when you're just at home. Do you ride horses? Do you have a family like culture of horseback riding and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. My parents, you know, are both former rodeo people. My dad rode bucking horses and steer wrestled. My mom was a barrel racer, and so I come from a full-on rodeo family.
Yeah.
And my sister has a career in rodeo. She's a professional roper and coaches at Cal Poly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I grew up riding my whole life, and right now I really don't ride much anymore because I'm either doing this or shoeing horses.
Yeah.
And so I just go.
You've got a full plate.
I got a full plate. Yeah.
I grew up riding horses, and I've always known. I mean, people always talk about they use horses for therapy because they're very in tune to human emotions. Yeah. We just ran a story last week, though. I just learned this that research shows that horses actually smell our emotions and our fear through our sweat.
Really?
Isn't that the craziest thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that they were just connected to us spiritually, but I guess we're just sweaty.
Well, they know. I mean, like when I get underneath them, no matter what's going on in the day, I have to like be calm.
Yeah.
Because they feel if you're scared or if you're if you're mad, and that's when things can happen. You know, when you're shoeing horses, because it can be a dangerous job sometimes if
Yeah.
you're not careful. So I've learned, my dad and mom always taught me, no matter what's going on, if you're mad, whatever, just get under there and be,
Yeah.
and
You got to
don't
bring
be-
your best self.
You got to bring your best self, because that's, I've had it happen before where I didn't listen to that and things happened.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I've never been injured badly, and
Yeah.
hopefully never. But what kind of riding did you do? I'm curious.
So I grew up in Southern California, and my neighbors had endurance horses. So these
yeah.
giant Arabians. So we do like 50 to 100-mile races.
Wow.
And then as I got a little bit older, I started doing kind of English stuff like hunter jumper, because
Yeah.
I thought that was the most fun thing in the world, just getting over those jumps as fast as you can.
Yeah.
I never really got into Western riding. It's funny though, when I moved up here and I was trying to find a place where I could do some hunter jumper, there's not a lot of it up here in Northern California. So I think I'm going to have to start like learning to barrel race or something if I want to be part of the local scene.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, one day.
It's great. It's cool. I was blessed. I got to learn how to rope when I was in high school. And so I feel like I got good enough to where, if I ever wanted to, I could go to a low-level jackpot and have fun, and
Right.
I'm happy with that, and I like to go support my sister when she ropes at the bigger
Yeah.
ropings and stuff, and so.
So what about for you? You don't have kids, right?
No, but we're having our first daughter in about a month.
Oh
so
my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you so nervous?
excited, nervous.
Yeah.
We were talking about it because it's our first one. So, we can't wait. And actually, while we're on that subject, I have a new song that I'm recording next week that's kind of about that. I was wanting to write one, and I hadn't really exactly figured out how I was going to write it, but I said, well,
Yeah.
it's coming down to crunch time, and the guy that helps with my vocals here, he pitched me a song from another writer, and it's called When She Says Daddy, and so that's going to be one of my singles. So.
Can we hear a little bit of that?
I'm embarrassed to say I don't have it down yet, and I'm recording it next week. So
Okay.
I'm not quite ready
Okay,
to do it
all
yet.
right.
But
We'll hear
I
it
have
eventually.
other songs. So,
Oh yeah. What else are you working on? You want to play us another one? Just a little.
Sure. Yeah. This one I'll sing this one. I pitched this to Nashville, and they said it was a little bit too forward for the. He's like, well, you're not. The record labels are going to make him mad. I said, yeah, but I said I think this is how a lot of people feel, especially true country fans and artists. So it's
Okay.
called "Taking Our Country Back," and so
Okay.
I'll play it for you, a little bit of it. I don't care what they say, country ain't the way it used to be. They've taken out on the twang, it ain't even country to me. But I think it's about to change, the country cooks are tired of it. They say let's all take a stand, no we ain't taking this. And we'll bring back the fiddles and the steel guitars and those heartfelt heartbreak songs. We'll round up every cowboy, hillbilly, redneck, and have a revolution. We'll break down the doors of the labels and say, boys, you've gone way off track. We're here to let you know we're taking our country back. So it
Yeah.
goes on from there, and bringing real country music back. So
Yeah, I like that. There's this one. Do you know Shooter Jennings?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has this one song. It was the album "Put the O Back in Country." Kind of reminds me of that. It sounds totally different, but
Yeah.
that kind of the
Well, that's-
idea.
I don't know him, but I love his music
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I got to perform with Wade Jennings on the country cruise last year.
Really?
Yeah. So that's another thing to talk about at the country cruise.
Yeah,
And
tell me about it.
I don't. Hopefully, we're still waiting if I get invited back for a third time, but it's usually end of October. Or actually, no, it's April 2027 is going to be the next one. But it's country cruise full of all the best country stars. Trace Atkins was on there, Clay Walker, and then a lot of upcoming guys get to perform. In the lounge, on the deck, in different
Okay.
places, and so I got
Where
to-
are you cruising to?
So it goes Fort Lauderdale to Key West to the Bahamas and back. So you make a big
Wow.
circle. And,
That must be just a bummer to have to do that.
Yeah, it was cool. This year, I got to bring my wife and we made a vacation out of it.
Yeah.
And then, and my mom actually, talk about my mom, Donna. She's my tour manager.
Yeah,
the
okay.
momager.
Yeah.
And so she goes on all that stuff, and she's in charge of merchandise and booking trips and public relations. So yeah.
How has that gone for you? Is it great having that extra connection to your mom?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's kind of funny because we grew up doing rodeo, and my mom's a barrel racer. That's all she did. And now that she's been in the music the last 10 years, she's like, I kind of almost like doing the music.
Right.
You don't have to put up your horse after. You can just,
Yeah.
the music is a lot of work, but, it's great having her. And then, my dad goes when he can, and, and so.
Are there ever moments where it's like, so I can imagine that having the person you trust most in the world, as your business partner essentially and manager is so, beneficial in so many ways. But are there ever times where it's a little tough because you want, hey, this just to be business, not personal, and you can't do that with mom?
No, yeah. It's cool. She does the merchandise and the booking the trips, which I think is perfect. And she's a great people's person, so sometimes certain shows and stuff, she's the point of contact.
Yeah.
I guess not dissing on myself, but you can't be good at everything. That's probably one of my weak.
Right. Yeah.
Public relations. Sometimes it's better either my mom Donna or sometimes one of the band members does it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm thinking about too many things, and I'm like, so she's good at that. And no, it's great. I think I personally like it.
Yeah.
But I have a booking agent that does that part.
Yeah.
So that's separate. And
Right.
So.
So Red Bluff is still home for you. I mean, your family's there.
Yeah.
You've done different things over the past, like fundraisers and ways to benefit the community, right? And you plan on continuing doing that sort of thing?
Yeah, we have a couple things this year. Haven't really, the one's announced. We're doing a fundraiser for Girls Inc. in Reading, and so that's May 29th, Friday.
Remind me about that, what the cause is for that.
I really I hate to say it. I know it's Girls
We'll look
Inc.
into it.
Yeah, let's look into it.
Yeah.
It's May 29th, Friday at Wind River Casino, and I think tickets are available. They just sent me the link, so it'll be up on my website. And then I'm also, last year I did something for Red Bluff Rotary because I've always been involved with them since Red Bluff's my home. This year, though, I'll be doing my 5th annual State Theater Show in Red Bluff. It's supposed to be Saturday, November 14th, and we're still locking in the date, but this year I'm going to give to California Deer Association, I decided, because they help some of the disabled hunters, and so that's something
cool.
that community,
Yeah.
So usually each year I give a portion of the proceeds to something to help out,
What's it like playing at home versus playing in front of a bunch of strangers who also know you, but you don't know them?
It's easier performing in front of a bunch of strangers.
I think so, yeah.
When I do my hometown throwdown, I mean, there's people in the front row I know, so
Yeah.
I really have to make sure I step it up, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't believe it. You have your first little girl on the way in a month. Have you guys, looking down the road, have you decided, I mean, is this going to be home for the long term, or do you think you might end up in Tennessee someday?
Yeah, I mean, I'd really see going back and forth more. It'd be cool to have another place there and kind of be there once a month. I know a guy I know, you've probably heard of Chancey Williams. He's gotten to be pretty big.
Yeah.
I know Chancey. Pretty sure he still lives in Wyoming, but he's in Nashville once a month.
Yeah.
So he's there a lot. So that's kind of what I see doing. Permanently, if I did end up landing some kind of record deal or something, obviously I would.
Yeah.
But I think still touring out here. I mean, I'm trying to get it bigger every year. Last year we did 8 or 10 states, and I'd like to do that again this year.
Yeah.
So I still want to be here to tour because this is where my fan base is.
So a lot of people think that, wouldn't it just be the dream to do what I'm passionate about and be successful to the level where I'm known, like nationwide or worldwide? Being somebody who's known just county-wide for my work, I can tell you that we know that there are some downsides, especially with social media out there, and it's really nice to be able to have your work shared, but everyone who doesn't like every little thing is going to tell you about it, and you've got to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
How have you navigated that?
Yeah, that's hard. You have to have really thick skin. That's another one that I struggle with a little bit. So I don't know. You just have to kind of, just pray every day that, against all of it and just kind of ignore it.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times if someone puts a bad comment on there, instead of getting mad, I just delete it, and that's all
just
I
move
do.
on. Yeah.
Just don't feed into them.
I try not to look at comments on social media, good or bad. That's fine. It's there for a discussion. I don't need to be a part of the discussion. But if I get emails that are pointedly upset, I usually try to take a step back and think, okay, this is another human.
Yeah.
They have an opinion. They want to be heard. And so maybe some of the points they made, maybe it's criticism or critique that I could benefit from. Maybe I'll engage in a conversation and be kind at least, because we're all people. And if someone's mad, they're usually probably hurt.
That's what you have to think. You have to think, they must be unhappy, and that's how I try to think of it too. I had a guy that, I won't mention his name or anything, but he was, I don't know what the problem was, but you know, and so man, it got really hard, and I you know, definitely just decided to ignore it instead of try to, you know.
Have you ever thought about hiring somebody to just like do your social media for you so you don't have to look at it?
I've thought about it, but it's expensive. That's why, you know, I have different people that help me with it, and that's been helpful.
Yeah.
You know, I have people that do my videos, but I still run it all myself.
Well, I'm sure your fans would be happy to know that, because I think when fans connect with someone that they like via social media, they're hoping that, hey, this post, it actually comes from them. This is their...
Yeah, as long as it's the blue check mark one, you know, make sure that's the one. If it's not from that one, then it's not me, but yeah.
Has there ever been anything out there about you that was like so not true and caused problems for you?
I've had quite a few different things. Somebody reached out and they were asking for money, and the people actually...
Oh no.
Yeah, and I don't really know whatever happened with that, but it wasn't good.
Okay.
Yeah, and and they actually thought it was me. And, so, yeah.
Oh gosh, interesting. Yeah, there's so many scammers out there. I always think, how do these people live with themselves? But I think we're getting better and better about detecting them. You know.
I just try to tell people, especially if it's Facebook or Instagram, the blue check mark one is the one.
Yeah, blue check mark, and I'm yeah.
I'm still trying to get on TikTok. TikTok's that's the hardest one.
I don't have TikTok yet. Well, I think I downloaded it one time, but I haven't made any cool videos or reels.
Yeah, I do better on Facebook and Instagram. I have to be on TikTok, and I've just been constantly learning how to get better at it.
And there's Snapchat too. That's another one.
Snapchat, I keep that one pretty personal. I don't usually have, unless I know them, I don't really have people on there. But, TikTok's been the hardest for me. I do a lot better on Facebook and Instagram. It's just kind of, you know,
my teenage stepsons tell me Facebook is for old people.
That's
and that's my jam. I like Facebook the most.
I do too. I get the biggest response on Facebook for anything.
It's weird because we lived through such a crazy era in our time, right? Like for me, growing up in the 90s and 80s, when it was like, you know, we had landlines, and then I remember all the cool kids, like when I was in middle school, had pagers. And just now to going to what we're going through, and I mean,
it's crazy.
The evolution of AI and just, I mean, we talked about AI a little bit already, but it's yet to be seen what life's going to look like 5 years down the road. Yeah,
and all of it. Yeah, and for me, I try to like keep up the best I can, but at the same time, like, you know, I want to make sure it's about the music too. And it's became so much in the music business about how many followers you have and all these things, and it's like, you know, I don't know that that's completely right. You know, it should be about the music. You know, there's so many people out there here and in Nashville that have great songs, but if they don't have a great social media following, you can't get it out to the masses, and it's kind of sad that it's came to that. And people that don't have as much talent can do dance moves on TikTok, and they can use that and then put songs out that aren't even that good. And it's like, it's kind of tough.
So how do you measure your own personal success?
You know, different people have different situations they're in, and like financially, politically. And, you know, for me, I really try to balance the music with the family life. And so I can, you know, I really only put so much into the music that you know, for me at this point, I'm not willing to just jump in a van, live like a gypsy, and tour 100% of the time. And I don't think you have to do that. You know, I think part of my faith and you know, the family life is important. And I think, you know, I'm constantly trying to write songs. You know, I still have to work a part-time day job. I can only put so much time and energy into it, and so I just do the best I can. And you know, like winning Country Artist of the Year last year at the Josies was like, I was super stoked about that. Getting open for Shenandoah in July with one of my favorite country bands, you know, I measure those things as like, you know, I'm pretty happy with that. And as far as being like you know, so many artists are pressured to be like, oh, you know, you got to get to the Blake Shelton level, or you know, but not everybody can do that, and not everybody most won't. You know, I mean, that's only the cream of the cream. You know. So you just have to learn. I've had to learn to be happy, you know, where I'm at, and the fact that I get to do it. There's people that I see that, you know, I think have more talent than me, and they play coffee shops full time, and I'm just like, you know, and it's and they're happy with that, I guess.
And it's like you said, though, it's like not everything is what it seems like it might be. Like, would you agree that having success could potentially have downsides? Success in terms of measuring it by just being well-known nationwide or selling the most albums.
There's definitely a lot of downsides. And I know there's so many artists that have really gravitated towards really having the happy medium, you know, and you know, like Aaron Watson's one of the ones that I really got a lot of respect for him, you know, in Texas, and how he's really, he really pushes the family thing, and like he goes away from his own thing and he really features his son, you know, and I think all that's kind of cool. You don't have to, it's not all about just trying to make it big in the music all the time. You know, the family part's important. And, you know, I really don't play a lot of bars anymore for that reason. I do mostly like fairs. Well, I mean, I do casinos, but for that reason, I don't really play bars much anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, for those of us here at home, the next time that we get to see you in person, you said is at the Red Bluff State Theater?
You know, I got various shows. If you go to chadbushnell.com, I have, you know, different things I'm doing. I'm playing actually this Friday. I'm doing a full Garth Brooks tribute at Feather Falls Casino.
Oh,
if
nice.
people want to come out and see that.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing the Red Bluff Roundup in April, and then the Girls Inc. event at Wind River. So there's a lot of chances to see me. The theater show is pretty neat though, because that's kind of my one big time of year where I just put on my own show. I bring a big artist, national act every year to it, and have a local opener. So yeah. So
okay.
It's supposed to be November 14th, Saturday. We're still locking the date in, but that would be a good one for people to come to. So.
All right, Chad, thank you so much. It's been great having you here.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Looking forward to everything that comes next.
I appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening today. I decided to offer this podcast after enough of you let me know that you wanted a deeper dive into certain stories than you get on our TV broadcasts. We elect certain people to represent our voice, but who are they really? My hope is that this podcast answers that question. I love your feedback, and I want to know who you'd like to hear from next. Just fill out that comment section and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify.